What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are here at Lake Julian Disc Golf Course and we are filming literally a requested video. Somebody asked me on my MVP trail video to review the Fission Defy and the Fission Dimension. Now, unfortunately, when I went back to the store, they didn't have any dimensions. So I have a Defy. It's in Fission. It's a special edition because all of the special editions were the heaviest, and it's only 162. So it's not exactly the heaviest, but I have a stack of discs. The Defy is an 11.5 -1.3. So basically a Wraith number. So I have a beat-in Wraith. I have a beat-in Wraith, a brand new Wraith. I also have a trail. I have a Fission time lapse. So we're gonna test it out today. Probably won't do too many holes. It is a little hot and very, very sunny. So we're gonna try to limit the time in the sun for today, but want to make sure we give it some good rips. And I'm gonna keep throwing it till I can kind of figure out what it's supposed to fly like. Starting off hole number 12, short pad, Lake Julian. Let's go playing some discs. Now, being that this is 11.5 -1.3 video, traditionally speaking, the first 11.5 -1.3 disc was the end of a Wraith. And this one's a bottom stamped. It doesn't have the numbers on it, but bottom stamped Wraith. This one's pretty new. And then this one I've had for probably 7-8 years now. It's a little beat in. Gonna throw these two first, and then we will move on to the MVP Axiom. We're gonna go brand new, and then we'll go beat in, and then we'll see if we can get some Fission plastic to absolutely bomb. Mid pad for hole 12. This one I'm going to start off with a touch of anhyzer, because if I don't start with anhyzer, it's definitely going into the trees. Wanted to get a good little flex, but because it's a Wraith and it's still pretty new, it comes back. That's what they do. Pretty traditional Wraith flight. You get that tiny little bit of a drift to the right, and then you have that consistent, reliable fade. Now, it happens when you've thrown it into a couple thousand trees. It might fly similar to this. That one came back too. So even though it's pretty beat in, it's still an 11 speed and it has a 3 fade. So it's still gonna come back. It's not gonna be your super flip roller disc unless you have massive amounts of power, which is not me. That being said, we're gonna go 10, 11, and 12. We're gonna go trail first. And this one, I think, flies very similar. I haven't actually thrown this one next to the Wraith, but I think this one flies similar to my old beat-in Wraith. So, touch a hyzer, and it should get a nice drift over to the right. Yep, very similar, a little bit straighter. Maybe not quite as much play left or right, but that's because it is newer. And it doesn't have that play built into the disc. This disc, however, 162 grams. Hopefully you'll be able to see the orange plastic. Probably about the same. I'm gonna put it on a touch of hyzer, and we should watch it stand up. I don't know if it's gonna flip over and turn, but it should at least stand up for it. Oh, that's a great flight. Yeah, pretty much new Wraith numbers. And the main difference you'll see with that is that because it is Fission, it's a little bit lighter weight, but Fission plastic beats in a good bit faster than Star plastic. So if you want a Wraith that's going to be flippier, quicker, get a Fission something, get like a Fission Photon, a Fission Defy, and It only takes a couple of trees to make that one start to flip a little bit more. This is the furthest flying disc in my bag. Let's punch it out there. If I hit this one right, it should turn and ride, but we have a bit of a tailwind, so I probably won't get the ride, probably just get the flip up to flat. Yep, up to flat. So all of those are going to be fairly similar, fairly consistent, minus others are going to be fairly consistent and fairly similar, minus of course the super beat up Wraith, which I have to throw on hyzer, because if I don't throw it on hyzer, it might just turn, it might cut roll. So we got hyzer flip up to flat discs, and then we've got hyzer flip to a little bit of a turn disc. Gonna throw it on a couple more holes, 16 and 18, and we'll probably throw them both on, or we'll throw all 5 of them on forehand for 15, and hopefully I don't mess up too many releases, so we'll get a pretty good gauge. And I know 3 holes isn't necessarily the best amount of holes to get a really good read on a disc, but it's really hot out here and I don't want to be that dehydrated when I get back to my car. So let's pick them up, go throw some forehands. I think the time lapse like 3-4 feet lower than the Defy, and they're like right next to each other. Let's pick them up. I'm gonna switch, just completely reverse the T order. So time lapse is gonna go first. These all being discs that are gonna be on the glidier, pushier side for their speed slot. I don't necessarily need to throw this hole super hard. If I throw mid-range hard, typically I can get close to circle 1, or I'm throwing a firm fairway driver. If I throw these just committed on a line, but without the power, hopefully I'll get a really good flight and we won't go way too deep. We're going time lapse first. All right. And now Defy. Very nose up, very wobbly, and very high, but it's still got the push that we were looking for. Let's try to get the trail all the way there. That was better commitment. Let's go flip up Wraith. Oh, little short. Now probably a little bit flatter of a release. Okay, so, I mean, we kind of expected that to happen, right? We expected the Defy to fly similar to a Wraith. And since a trail flies similar to a beat-in Wraith, at some point your Defy is going to fly similar to your trail. But that's probably going to happen faster than might be expected because it's the fission. And fission does tend to beat in a little bit more, or a little bit faster. So, gonna go, actually, you know what? No, yeah, I think we're gonna go all hyzers on 16, and then we'll go for max distance rips on 18. And hopefully we will get to see some consistency and some big distance rips. So it's a good thing because we have like a head crosswind right now, head cross. So hopefully it shouldn't lift our hyzers. Hopefully it should help push them down. But I think with the headwind, we are going to see a little bit of a flip up and probably ride straight for a good portion of most of these discs flight. Probably not the new Wraith, but we'll test it out. Let's actually go, let's go slow to fast. So we'll go trail, Wraith, Defy, time lapse. And this one, I know I'm going to need a lot more hyzer than I've been throwing on recently, because with this headwind, this disc is going to flip. So yep, well, a hyzer, it stands up, rides really straight for a good portion of its flight, then you're going to get that consistent fade, and that's that -1.1. I think actually the trail seems to be a little bit more like a in of a beast, a little bit more -2.2. It seems to have a little bit more play, but that's probably just the 10-speed rim. You're going to have more play than if you have like the Crave is a 6-speed rim. That's going to be a lot straighter, because the bigger the rim, the wider the rim, the more play left to right you're going to get. Let's go. No, we'll leave this one for last, and then we'll go this one first. This one will probably fly similar to the trail. Similar to the trail, but also it's still a Wraith, so it still has that beefy overstability at the end of its flight. So if it's not super low to the ground, you're gonna get that reliable pushing finish. But because it's a Wraith and because it's speed in, it's gonna be much more of a pushing finish and less of a dumping finish. You wanna see the difference? Here's more of a dumpy finish Wraith. That wind picked up a lot, and that's why we got it to flip up that much. I didn't throw it that much harder. It just flipped up because suddenly the wind is now gusting directly into our faces. Let's go Defy and see if we can defy all the odds. An ace with a disc that I've only thrown twice before. Okay, so the Vision Defy, being that it is slightly lighter, it's going to give you more of that flip-up Wraith than that overstable Wraith. It's going to be a great disc. If you get one in more of a heavier weight, it's probably going to be that straight Wraith instead of that flip-up Wraith. But that might all be water under the bridge. Just try to find what you like and figure out how to throw that disc. And recently, for me, that's been this time lapse. Let's see if we can push it for an ace. I've been trying to ace this hole for so long. It's so dangerous to run it, but I keep trying. So the time lapse is a little bit beat in, and it is in fission plastic, so you're gonna get a little bit more flip out of that. It's not necessarily less overstable. It's about the same stability. It's just been beat in a little bit more. So if I could find a newer fission time lapse, it would probably give more of the flight of the Defy. Maybe just a touch more push and a touch more finish. But let's go throw them on 18 and see if we can get these discs all over 400. Hopefully this will be our last hole. It's a bit of a headwind, so I'm gonna throw all these on a good bit of hyzer because all of them are gonna flip up at least a little bit. Graybeard disc golf. As far as the way I've thrown the Fission Defy so far, the Fission Defy flies very similar to a slightly beat-in Wraith, and it's going to fly more similar to a beat-in Wraith the more you throw it because it's fission and it just that happens. So I'm gonna throw all of these again. The Mando sign is no longer there, unfortunately. The metal pole, metal telephone pole that's to the right, not the left one, but the right one, it's the Mando pole, and I've ranged that to 395. So if I can make it to there or make it past there, that means that's, you know, it's a pretty decent bomber disc. I'm gonna go probably most overstable to least overstable. And so we're gonna start off with the Star Wraith. And by Star Wraith, the new Star Wraith, because the other one's not quite that stable. This one, touch of hyzer, maybe a little bit flat. Should be able to get it to at least flip up into this headwind and give a lot of push. Did you see the nose angle controls with that shot? The nose angle control issues. It was slightly nose up, and so as the headwind kept hammering on it, it just kept rising. And that's an issue if you're trying to go for max distance. It's kind of good if you want to try to stall hyzer to the left, but if you're trying to go for max distance, you don't want that. Let's correct that issue. Let's go with the trail. Yeah, that's about 4:15. And then because I never actually did this, I want to test this next to the trail. A little bit less far, just because of that 3 fade. It's going to fade out a little bit faster than your -1.1. It's a -1.3. So as it slows down, it is going to fade a little bit sharper and a little bit harder, but it's still a good pushing hyzer flight. That's a great shot if you can find that. I think the Vision Defy is going to fly very similar to that. Maybe about 10 feet shorter, very similar to a Wraith. If you like the way a Wraith flies, or you like the way the trail flies, but you need something that's kind of, it's not quite working out for you, maybe try the Defy. It's working out pretty good. It's basically a Wraith, but it's gonna beat in faster. And Vision typically comes a little bit lighter weight, so it might be easier for somebody to throw if you're looking for just an out-of-the-box flip-up disc. Now, I keep trying this. Max distance, Vision time lapse. Let's see how far we can push it. And that's the issue. I try to push it, I try to throw it harder, and then I give it no airspace. That's my form, that's my problem, that's not your problem. The disc probably isn't gonna fly like that for you. Vision Defy, great disc. Quite an interesting take, because MVP already has the Photon, and that comes out in Vision plastic pretty regularly. So I'm not exactly sure why they're trying to push the Defy all of a sudden when the Photon was a great disc. I know that the Defy is supposed to be slightly more overstable, so maybe people were saying the Photon's great, but maybe it just beats in a little bit too quick. So they're giving the Defy, and with that extra tiny little bit of fade that it's gonna have, it's probably gonna give you more play left to right. So kind of the difference between T-Bird versus Eagle. T-Bird's supposed to be a little bit straighter, and Eagle's definitely gonna give you a little more play left to right and back to the left. That being said, Defy is a great disc. If you haven't checked one out yet, definitely do so. It's flying really amazing. And if you like the Wraith, but you're tired with the Innova stereotypes, definitely go try out a Defy. It's an amazing disc. Oh, I forgot to mention, this Defy, the other discs, great discs. I prefer the Trail or the Wraith over the Defy, just because I know them better. This Defy flies amazing, 162 grams, Vision Defy, orange. It's gonna be a little bit easier to find than a lot of other colors. If you wanna win this Defy, go make sure you're telling your friends to subscribe, because this is going to be added into the 1,500 subscriber giveaway. So we've got a lot of discs starting to stockpile. They're amazing discs, and by the time somebody wins it, you might just win a full bag, a full lineup. So make sure you're subscribing, make sure you're telling your friends you want one of these discs. If you enjoy content like this, make sure to like the video. If you want to see something new, make sure to comment that down below. This video is a request from one of my comments, so make sure to comment down video ideas if you have any, and make sure to subscribe. It helps you out for all these subscriber only giveaways. Definitely helps me out. Until next time, see you out on the course.